L-O-Y. Let's ride. What are you doing? Sports! We are back at it again. Episode number 11 of Foursquare Sports, and this is called One Game at a Time. And if you follow the MLB postseason race, you will know exactly where this is going. And I also want to give a shout out once again to Random Music Redux on YouTube for allowing us to use the instrumental for Cut the Cord by Shinedown for our intro. I talked to Random Music Redux. I told him a while back that I wanted to use that instrumental for our intro, and he was happy to let us use it. So no copyrights here. We're not all about copyrights. So all clean here. Anyways, Matt Sirianni, Alec Nava, Kevin Zellis, co-host John Walsh. How y'all doing?
Feeling good, Matt. I'm watching the Giants-Jets preseason game to my left. I got Yankees-Cardinals in front of me, and I think that is a home run by Aaron Judge. I'm doing this show with you guys, and I'm feeling pretty good right now.
Oh, the timing is great. We have an Aaron Judge home run. I couldn't record on my phone, but honestly, it's fine. It's fine. So you mentioned Major League Baseball with Aaron Judge. Let's get right into Major League Baseball because a lot of crazy division races, specifically in the West part of the Major League Baseball. So for those of you who are unaware, the NL race between the NL West race between the Los Angeles Dodgers and the San Diego Padres is neck and neck. After the Dodgers lost the season series where they were swept by the Los Angeles Angels of Anaheim, even though they're not really called that anymore, that put the Dodgers one game back of the Padres in the NL West race. However, both teams played each other last night, and now it's a dead tie between the two at 69 and 53. The Dodgers are not exactly world beaters, and this is the second team they got swept by this season. They got swept by the Brewers, and they got swept by the Angels in their season series. The Padres have been playing at a steady and methodical pace. They've been winning games in chunks as of late. This could be a really close race. So one thing I wanted to mention before we get on is that the Padres and Dodgers are playing each other tonight and tomorrow. The Dodgers lead the season series 6-2. So if the Dodgers win one more game against the Padres, they clinch the tiebreaker. So if they are tied at the end of the season, the Dodgers have the edge, but they need to win one more game to do so. So we look at the NL West race. Kev, the way it's going right now for both these teams, who do you think has the edge?
I mean, right now, when you look at both of the teams and what the Padres did during the trade deadline, the Padres are going all in this season. They basically traded away almost most of their entire farm system to do one thing, and that's beat the Dodgers this year. And I know the Dodgers beat them 3-2 last night, if I believe. But you said if they win one, they would win that tiebreaker. It's going to be a fight to the finish for both of those teams. I feel like it's definitely going to come down to the wire to the last part of the season. But the way I see it right now is Dodgers seem to know the Padres very well, and Padres seem to know the Dodgers very well. So it'll be kind of back and forth as the season progresses. But I wouldn't be surprised if both of these teams met in the postseason once again, and that is going to be absolute cinema when it does happen.
It was entertainment the last two times. In 2022, they met. The Padres won in 4 games when the Dodgers won 111 games in the regular season. That was back in 2022. And then last year was, like you said, a must-watch, especially because the fans' reaction the entire time. You had fans throwing crap on the field, particularly at Jurickson Profar. Like, these two teams just don't like each other. So that's what makes it even more intense when these two teams clash. So, John, when obviously the Padres might have to outright have a better record than the Dodgers in order to have to clinch the division title, but what do you think the Dodgers have that the Padres don't have?
That's tough. That's a tough question to answer because the Dodgers can't get healthy right now. They're having a lot of issues with their bullpen. They haven't had the bats that they thought that they would have. So I think the Padres have health on their side right now. It would be my answer.
Interesting. Obviously, now I'm going to come to Alec here. So when you look at these two teams, obviously the Padres, like Kevin said, have one goal, and that's to beat the Dodgers in any way, shape, or form at any round, no matter what. The Padres, like we mentioned before, are the little brother in this situation. The Dodgers have been around for a long time. They were the Brooklyn Dodgers back in the 1940s and 50s, but the Padres are still fairly new. They're still trying to break through that shell to be the best team in California. What do you think the Padres have to do to win the next 6 games and clinch the tiebreaker? Because the Dodgers have owned the Padres in the regular season series so far.
So, for one, as was mentioned, that the Padres, they are the healthier team. The Dodgers, they have the bats and the talent to back themselves up. San Diego's other advantage they have is bullpen. Those are the two advantages I'm giving into the Padres, health and bullpen. The heightened stakes here are that the Padres have not won a division title in 19 years. And the common sentiment is that they have to get the record outright so as to get the division title over the Dodgers, because at this current rate, one can believe that the Dodgers are going to clinch the series against the Padres. They know each other very well. But San Diego, they have the reputation of a team with a lot of star talent, but thin at the back end of the roster. Winning close games, largely because of who they got at the deadline. Ryan O'Hearn, Ramon Laureano, instant fits. Mason Miller, instant fit. They're focusing on the now. And AJ Preller doesn't care if he's selling off his farm for or the end goal. He's focusing on a World Series title. And if it comes with beating the Dodgers in the postseason, even sweeter for San Diego. But the goal is October. And I think part of it's going to be dictated by what happens in this season series should these two teams meet. But my guess is whoever has home field advantage in the postseason series will win that series the full distance.
Interesting. Now, one thing that a lot of people need to understand is that ever since the 12-team playoff format was implemented, the wild card teams have had the advantage in the later rounds because they're not rusty. One thing about the playoff format that we've kind of seen the last few years, up until last year really, is that the higher seeds typically fall. Although this year, the way things have been going, we don't know what's going to happen. But the battle between the Padres and Dodgers could be very, very interesting as far as how it goes down the stretch. Now, another Western battle that I want to go into for division purposes, and John's very interested in this one, the AL West battle. The Mariners, the Mariners are right there. They're only one game back of the Astros for the first place in the AL West. The Astros are a team, and Tyler Reddick wins the state in NASCAR. Thank you, Alec, for that report. But when it comes to the AL West, the Astros have owned the AL West for about a decade now. And I think a lot of people are willing to see change. The Mariners have just had this electric offense. Now, they lost today to the Mets, but I think a lot of people are happy that this Mariners team has stepped out of the shadow. They're firmly in wild card position. They look really good. Josh Naylor and Eugenio Suarez have been big contributions, as mentioned previously, on their offense. The problem with the Mariners right now is their pitching hasn't been as sharp as it was last year. And I think we can all agree on that. But this team is still talented on many fronts. Cal Raleigh's still mashing home runs. But to me, the Astros are not as good as they have been in years past. They almost got perfected on by Brandon Young of the Orioles yesterday, which I thought was kind of shocking. I got to come to our resident Mariners fan, John Welch. What do you think Seattle has been doing so well to put them in this position?
Go ahead, Kev. I'm waiting. I haven't heard you say it in a month. He won the home run derby. He's still hitting home runs.
Okay, so
do we want him drug tested still?
No, I was just saying that as a joke. But good on Cal Raleigh, who's leading the league. I think with 46 now.
46, yeah.
Yeah, 46. I mean, also like Judge got hurt for 10 days. That's unfortunate, but like good for Cal Raleigh, man. I'm happy for him. I really am.
This has been one of the most exciting post All-Star seasons that the Mariners have had. The last, it feels like 5 years. They've come on strong beginning of the first half of the season, and then after the All-Star break, they just totally lose it. They lose the plot. They've fired and hired at least 3 managers in the last 5 years. So this is exciting baseball for the Pacific Northwest and as a whole. There's a lot of people jumping on the Mariners bandwagon right now. I think I saw a stat yesterday that said the Mariners were 3rd in rankings to actually win the series at the end of October. So I'm excited. It's been really fun to watch. It's been fun to see the moves that they're making, bringing players up from AAA and the moves that they're making with the injury list. So they're trying to improve their pitching a little bit. I can see the chess moves that they're working on, but I wish the Stros were playing the Marlins at this point, the way the Marlins are beating teams that they shouldn't be right now.
Yeah.
So a little help from the Orioles, a little help from whoever plays the Astros. I know the Mariners are playing the Athletics after they get done with the Mets, so I'm looking forward to a positive series with the Athletics.
Now, even though you're playing the A's after you play the Mets, don't take the Sacramento A's lightly, because even though they traded Miguel Andujar and Mason Miller away, they're still a very talented young team, and they can easily play spoiler. And I think that's one of the things that I like about the Sacramento A's this year is that they've been playing spoiler to a lot of postseason hopefuls who are trying to gain ground. And the A's, like I said, when this team goes to Vegas, they're going to be awesome. I'm calling it right now. Like, they got 3 years to really get themselves in gear, and when they go to Vegas, they're going to be awesome. But keep in mind, the American League is very tough. We've said this before in the past. But I think to see the Mariners win the AL West, that would be something. That would be something they haven't done since 2001, which was the last time they won 116 games, which still to this day is the best regular season in Major League Baseball history.
There was a joke going around social media here in Seattle, and it was telling the Mariners to hang a banner. It said that they led the American League for a day.
Oh my God!
when they were the night that they were half a game ahead of the Astros.
Right. That's right. That's correct. That's actually kind of amazing, though. Go ahead, Al.
Yeah, I saw something similar, except with the Padres.
Yeah. Right now, America's team in baseball are the Padres and the Mariners for sure. Although America's team, in my mind, in Major League Baseball, and I got to apologize to our good friend Lily Schumacher because I made a joke after the Yankees beat the crap out of the Brewers on the opening series. I said, there's a seat at the table for you, Lily, in case you want to join the bandwagon. She refused, and the way things are going right now, I'm looking pretty stupid for that. So I apologize to Brew Crew Nation. The Brewers are killing it right now. They're the best team in baseball by 6 or 7 games. They're just playing outright amazing baseball with no Jackson Chourio, by the way. Jackson Chourio's been out for the last couple weeks, and I was told by Lily that Isaac Collins is going to be out with a paternity leave, and then another player's going to be out for bereavement. So it's like this team just can't lose. The amazing thing was last night they played the Reds in Cincinnati. They were down 8-1 in the second inning, and they came back and won 10-8. That's something that I never saw before. And what that did was it allowed them to hit 13 consecutive wins, which ties a franchise record set back in 1987. So the Brewers are doing magical things here. And one thing that Kevin brought up, and I'm going to say it again, I think it's the spirit of Bob Uecker running through this organization right now, because this team cannot literally lose if they even try to lose. Everything they do, they try to find ways to win. And I'm all for it. This is a very likable ball club, and they just have a will to win. The word quit is not in their dictionary, and I find
Absolutely
that amazing.
Not.
So I want to get back to your point about the Bob Uecker thing, and actually one thing I wanted to mention. So Christian Yelich, who had a 2-home run game last night against the Reds, he had a Bob Uecker inspired bat that said "Get up, get up, get out, get out." I thought that was awesome. But Kevin, when it comes to the Brewer crew, like, this is an amazing story. Probably the best story in Major League Baseball this year.
Yeah, no doubt, Matt. I mean, no, I don't think anybody had the Brewers being this good this year, myself included, especially after that opening series. But yeah, they've been playing the baseball the right way. That's what it comes down to. Their starters are getting length. Their bullpen is doing enough to win. Their offense is getting base hits and doing the simple things like getting them on, moving them over, getting them in. And with a little bit of power in there too. And again, just great team play. The chemistry is immaculate with this team right now. And yes. I know I made the joke about they're winning because of the spirit of Bob Uecker. I think there's something to that, honestly, because obviously the Brewers, the way it ended for them last year was very disappointing. And Bob Uecker, you can just hear the disappointment in his voice when he called that very final game against the Mets. And he said this one hurts. And then and of course we heard about his passing shortly after that. And then this following year of this season, to see what the Brewers are doing in the first year after Uecker is no longer with us, it's just magical. To put it in a word, it's just really magical, what this Brewers team has been doing. And I really hope that they go far in this postseason, especially if they run into the Dodgers. I hope they kick the crap out of the Dodgers. Let me just say that right now. But yeah, but I really look. It's like you said, they're a very likable ball club. They play baseball the right way. They have an outstanding coaching staff and Pat Murphy as the new manager. He's a definite coach of the year candidate in my eyes, because he's been doing an outstanding job. And yeah, even with significant injuries like Jackson Churio, and you're going to be losing Isaac Collins, and I think Blake Perkins is the other guy for now. But they're just finding ways to win. That's what good teams do. You find ways to win, even when there are injuries like on the team. And it's just so refreshing to see a team like that be able to pull through no matter what comes their way. And it's very great to see.
It is. It's a feel-good story. And we all love feel-good stories in Major League Baseball. Also, you got to give Pat Murphy a ton of credit. Mm-hmm. I love what he's done. I love the chemistry, like you said. And I don't know if any of you follow Brie Delio on Instagram. She's a resident Cubs fan. She loves the Cubs. Every time she watches a Brewers game and the Brewers find a way to break her down, it's actually kind of hysterical. But I think it's actually great, the fact that a likable team from a likable market, obviously the Wisconsin, Milwaukee market, is not really well known, obviously, unless you're a Packer fan. The Packers are they rule Milwaukee. Although that really, I don't know how far that is from Wisconsin, but it's still Wisconsin nonetheless.
About an hour.
About an hour away. Wow.
Probably. I'm not sure.
An hour. Wow. Okay. So I'm going to come to Alec for this one. So when it comes to the Brewers, would you put them in a good shot against a team like the Dodgers or against the Phillies in the playoffs? Or do you think that this is probably a flash in the pan and maybe their luck might run out?
I'm still going to take a wait and see approach, given in the past reputation. To me, different sport, but the Brewers to me are more in the same boat as the Winnipeg Jets are, if you remember what I'm saying. The Jets, like the Brewers, small market, and they're highly successful, and it's surprising that they got off on this great run all throughout to the top of their respective leagues. But the pressure to perform in the playoffs is high for the both of them. The Jets, they finally got over the hump getting out the first round with that Manitoba miracle. The Brewers may not need such a miracle to get over the hump. But if they do clinch the best record, automatic trip to the NLDS. Can they pull this off against a team like the Dodgers? Certainly they can. Though, of course, comeback wins, blowout wins, offensive breakouts, elite starting pitching, elite defense, all of them are checked off on the list. They're the complete package. And mind you, this is a team that's bottom 10 in payroll, which speaks to coaching. And that matters. Pat Murphy has to be regarded as one of the best coaches / managers in the entire MLB, where he's able to motivate his guys to keep their egos in check. And all the revivals of certain players have been remarkable to watch. Andrew Vaughn, Quinn Priester, specifically those two. Christian Yelich, he has turned back the clock. Not the superstar that he used to be, but he stayed healthy. And it's worth noting that these 2 months have coincided with the Cubs having their worst stretch of the season.
Yeah.
The Cubs were solid, but the Brewers have been mostly unbeatable. And Jacob Misiorowski, he's the guy to watch here. He's a future ace of this team.
I mean, this ball club is awesome. And one thing that I think you forgot to mention is their closer. Trevor McGill has been awesome this year, to say the least. And it's amazing. The man he replaced, we got him.
Oh, boy.
I can't. Devin Williams, well, it's funny because the Yankees bumped him down to lower leverage situations. So it's a work in progress with Devin Williams, that's for sure. And it hasn't gone the way we've hoped it would. But no, the Brewers have played their chips the right way. They play really good baseball. They do the small things well, and that's what you want to see. And this whole thing about payroll, yes, John?
Oh, Alec, to his 2 points, compared the Brewers to the Winnipeg Jets. If we're talking NBA, I would compare them to the Pacers, where they're not as big market as the Phillies or the Dodgers, but they deserve to be there for sure. And I think monetarily, because they are the bottom 10% in Major League, they should be an example of the argument for why there should not be a salary cap in the conversation later in the fall.
I like that.
Great point.
I like that because if you can do more with less, which we've seen with Major League Baseball, over the last few years, ever since we got the expansion of the playoffs, we have seen 6 seeds in the National League do very well in the postseason. We've seen teams with a low payroll, like, for example, the 2023 World Series, the Texas Rangers and the Arizona Diamondbacks, 2 teams that we didn't expect to be in that position at all, that had 100 losses a couple of years before that, make it to the championship, and then the Texas Rangers end up winning the whole thing. That's just something that I think is a testament to play over money. And I think a salary cap, like you mentioned before, we don't really need a salary cap. I think that Major League Baseball would have a hard time trying to figure out what to do with the salary cap. I don't think organizations would know how to handle a salary cap or balance it out. The Dodgers would absolutely hate it because of all the stuff that they've done ever since the Ohtani deferrals. But I'm not going to get into that because it'll piss me off. But it's proof that you don't need to spend to get to where you want to be. And I think that's the main point I'm trying to prove.
Run the base paths. Keep putting it on the ground. That's the way baseball should be played. Run the base paths and put it on the ground.
Amen. Amen, brother. All right. So I want to get into New York baseball, which is a team that is opposite of 2 big market teams, the Mets and the Yankees. Where do I start? So the Yankees had a very tough series against 2 Texas teams. They're currently a game and a half in the 6th spot for the American League. The Mets beat the Mariners today. Whoop-de-doo. But now they got to hope that the Reds don't beat the Brewers and end their 13-game win streak. The Mets are only a half game into that 6th wildcard spot. The Yankees at one point were a half game ahead of the Guardians. And for those of you who want to know about tiebreakers, the Mets and Yankees don't have their respective tiebreakers over the 2 Ohio teams. The Guardians have the tiebreaker over the Yankees, and the Reds have the tiebreaker over the Mets. So if you're telling me Ohio has a chance to outclass New York in baseball, I would say you're absolutely fried. Because there's just no way it's possible. But I do want to give the Cincinnati Reds a lot of credit because this was a team that I was very high on before the season even began. I said this team with Terry Francona as their new manager was going to be really good. I didn't think they were going to be good right away. I thought they were going to be a 3rd-place team in the NL Central, but they've been better than many people have anticipated. And like we've said, they haven't been swept in a series yet. They're the only team that hasn't been swept in a series yet. And I think that's the most impressive part of it all because it's very hard to avoid getting swept in a series, but the Reds just make it work. And you look at Spencer Steer and Hunter Green and Ellie De La Cruz, like their 2023 call-up class, and this team has just been performing really well. They got Miguel Andujar at the trade deadline, which has been beneficial to say the least. And this Reds team just doesn't seem to go away. Now, I want to come to John. When it comes to the Cincinnati Reds, do you see this team passing the Mets at any point this year?
The Reds are kind of like right in the middle of this love-hate thing where you want to see them take the next step, and you know that when they get up against the Mets, that they're just it's David and Goliath. So it's really frustrating to watch the Reds down the stretch here because I think the Mets are gonna figure it out and actually just do that move at an arm wrestling contest where they just slam the other arm to the table.
Like slam the door shut. Slam the door shut. I mean, Cincinnati, if they were to make the playoffs, I'd be probably jumping for joy. I'd probably take back my punishment of running around with the Red Sox jersey on as far as my Yankees not winning the division punishment. Now the Yankees. They're playing the Cardinals right now. And let me see. I'm checking the score right now. They're down 5-3, folks, against the St. Louis Cardinals. Joy to the world. The Yankees are the gift that keeps on giving. And honestly, I know what's up.
Is Judge the only thing that the Yankees have going for him right now?
No, it's David Bednar. Thank you, Alec.
Wait, what you saying? Thanking me for? Well, yeah, you can thank my Pirates for David Bednar giving to you, but Aaron Judge, he needs. I don't know what's going on with him ever since the injury, but Luis Hill is slowly getting better. He can find his groove and give him a jolt, but Max Fried, Carlos Rodon, they need to find their groove right now.
Yeah.
Yeah. I hate to be doing this to Kev again, but what exactly is going on?
Okay. So a few things. One, I will say that over the course of maybe the past 3-4 games, their defense has played a tad bit better. Not as bad as it was over the last 2 months. But as soon as I say that, like the beginning of this game, Jason Dominguez playing left field made another error, had a bad read on the fly ball, and then bobbled the ball, allowed a triple to happen. But then we talk about Judge, hasn't been the same. It's taken him a long time to actually start to get the ball rolling. And in this game, he has a double and a home run so far. So maybe we start to see him pick it back up like he always has. And then you left my boy Giancarlo Stanton out of it all. He's been really good, over the course of this entire thing. It's understandable why we want to keep both him and Judge in the lineup, because Stan was playing right field for the first time in a couple of years, and he's been fine playing in the field. Now, obviously, he's not playing tonight because it's in a different stadium, at Busch Stadium, and the right field is obviously a little bit bigger. But a main problem is the starters are not getting the Yankees' length. They cannot get through more than 5 innings. It seems like Warren has been the only starter to get past 5 innings. He's gotten over 6 innings of starting pitching in his last 2 starts. Rodon and Fried hasn't looked right ever since after the All-Star break. He's got to pick it up more. He struggled this game so far, but I have confidence that he'll get back to where he is. And 3, every single game, something goes wrong for the Yankees. It's like you can never have a clean game with them anymore. It's either the starting rotation gives you a chance to win, the bullpen's good, but the offense is non-existent, or the offense is really good, the starting pitching it gives you length, and the bullpen implodes. Or it's like the bullpen's good, the offense is good, but the starting pitching blows it. You see what I mean? It's or if you put Devin Williams in a high level situation, stuff like that. It's just it's repeating a wheel of insanity and poor decision making. But right now, they're looking to add on here. Currently, they got guys on first and third with 1 out, down 2. So we'll see what happens here. But Yankees right now, I don't see them as a true postseason team in my eyes yet. I know they have the final wild card spot by only a game and a half over Cleveland, but if they don't start winning, especially when that 4-game homestand against Boston comes up, that's going to be really telling. Because if they don't at least split or win that series, then forget the postseason. You might not even see the Yankees in the postseason this year.
And honestly, I don't think they're going to win the AL East this year the way Toronto is playing. Toronto is playing lights out. They spanked the Texas Rangers earlier today, 14-2. And this Toronto team has hit their stride. And the Red Sox, go ahead, Alec.
Ben Rice just homered.
I was just about to type that. Yep. 6-5.
So it's 6-5?
6-5, yep.
Well, this is the first time we've ever had announcers jinx on this show.
Twice.
Oh.
We've had announcers jinx on this show. Unbelievable.
Oh my God. We've heard of announcers jinx on a live play-by-play call, but on a show like this, that's a first. That is a first.
Honestly, that is a first for me. Anyway, if the Yankees, before that Ben Rice home run, it's just up and down inconsistencies. And like I said, just stupid things that you don't want to happen. Like, for instance, terrible errors from Anthony Volpe, inconsistent pitching from Camilo Duvall, but thank God for David Bednar. Other than his opening performance against Miami, Bednar's been solid.
Oh, yeah.
Camilo Duvall has his ups and downs.
Mm-hmm.
So this Yankees team, like, you don't know what you're going to get from them. And honestly, if they don't win this game, especially when the Guardians are losing 5-1 to Atlanta, that's a problem. And I mentioned that Toronto is playing hot right now. The Boston Red Sox beat the Miami Marlins for the second game in a row. So Yankees just got to keep winning and try to keep pace and eventually hope that they can pass Boston at least. I don't think they're passing Toronto. I'm going to be completely honest.
It's going to be tough. Unless Toronto goes on like a massive slump, which I don't see happening, I think it's going to be really tough for the Yankees to win the division. I think that last series against Toronto, I think, kind of sealed the division, in my opinion.
I agree, especially because Toronto won the tiebreaker off of that.
Yeah.
So,
but we'll see. You never know.
We'll see. There's still plenty of time.
Yeah.
Next up, I want to get into NCAA football. We've had quite a few stories in NCAA football. The first story I want to get into, and I have Sammy Myers next to me, so she's going to know this. The Alabama Crimson Tide have selected Ty Simpson to be their starting quarterback for the 2025 season. And for those of you who want to know who Ty Simpson is, he is the last quarterback recruited by Nick Saban to come to Alabama. So this is probably the last stroke of gold attached to this university until we officially settle in to the new regime of Kalen DeBoer. So, or not Kalen DeBoer. Is it Kalen DeBoer? I think it is.
Yeah, it is Kalen DeBoer.
Okay, good. I was thinking of another Kalen DeBoer. I thought I was saying like the coach from the NHL, but I was right.
Oh, Peter DeBoer?
Yeah, Peter DeBoer.
Peter DeBoer. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, he was fired, by the way.
Yeah, by the Dallas Stars. That's right. Okay, thank God I got my head on straight. Thank God. But
trust me, I know because he walked out on the Huskies to go to that job.
Yep, he did. He walked out on Washington to go to Alabama.
That's right, yeah.
And people got to remember, last year Alabama was not up to expectations at all. They were a 9-4 team. They won their bowl game, but they missed the college football playoff. They had a couple bad losses to Vanderbilt and Oklahoma last year. Sammy's telling me don't talk about it. I'm gonna talk about it. It's just like, but like this team played very, very poorly for their standard,
right?
And people in Tuscaloosa are saying we want Nick Saban back. Nick Saban is comfortably enjoying retirement, being part of College Game Day. So, unfortunately, that will not happen. But Kalen DeBoer has a chance to make Ty Simpson something, to prove that he deserves to be the coach of Alabama. But because Alabama is number one tied for most national championships in college, if you don't deliver a national title, the fans will eat you alive. And we've seen that. Really, other than Bear Bryant and Nick Saban, every other Alabama coach has been eaten alive by the fans. So, it's going to be interesting. So, John, when it comes to Ty Simpson, what do you expect from Alabama? Do you expect them to make the college football playoff? Do you expect them to have another bad season for their standard? What do you think is going to happen?
Well, to answer the second part of your question first, it's going to be tough for Bama to get back into the playoffs. We just did our playoff predictions last week, and I didn't hear many people name Bama coming out of the SEC with teams like Georgia and Texas and even Tennessee looking to come on strong. So Bama has its work cut out for it for sure. I did a deep dive. I was doing some quarterback draft ratings for 2026, and I did a deep dive on Ty Simpson. His senior year in high school, he was the Tennessee Gatorade Player of the Year.
Okay.
He threw 2,827 yards, 41 touchdowns out of 3 interceptions. And then he rushed 92 times for almost 900 yards, 862 yards, and 11 touchdowns on the ground. So this kid is going to ball out under DeBoer. He earned this QB job in spring training. I had never heard of him, but until spring training, and Kellen DeBoer said, "This is my dude. He's a redshirt junior, so this will be his 4th year in the Alabama program." So I think he's going to ball out, but the SEC is the toughest division in the NCAA, so he's got his work cut up for him for sure.
Yeah, and I think that Alabama is expecting something good to happen, because when you were recruited by Nick Saban to come to your program, that means that obviously there's something in you that maybe hasn't been seen yet. So.
He chose Alabama over Clemson and Tennessee.
Right, that's correct.
He had options.
He just didn't like the color orange.
Yeah, there you go. If you guys have time, there's a new show on Netflix called Any Given Saturday, and it's a documentary on last year's SEC football. It's really, really good.
I like that title.
I
like that title.
Let's check it out.
I'm gonna check it out indeed. Now, before we get into the Texas Tech part of it all, because I know John's itching to get into that, I want to get into the latest news surrounding the Michigan Wolverines and the latest punishment that has been hammered on them by the NCAA for sign stealing that took place in their 2023 national championship season. In a document sent to the school on Friday, the NCAA's Committee on Infractions sanctioned the Wolverines with the following penalties: a fine equivalent to the anticipated loss of all postseason competition revenue sharing the 2025 and 2026 seasons, a 10-year show cause penalty for former head coach Jim Harbaugh. So Harbaugh is going to be evaluated the next decade, even though he's not in college anymore. An 8-year show cause penalty for former staffer Connor Stalions, who was the head of the sign stealing scandal. Additional game suspension for Sharon Moore, who's the current head coach of Michigan right now. So Sharon Moore was supposed to have a 2-game suspension. It's been bumped up to 3. A 3-year show cause penalty for former assistant Denard Robinson. A $50,000 fine plus 10% of the budget for the football program. That's actually kind of the biggest punishment they got. A fine equivalent to the cost of 10% of the scholarships awarded in Michigan's football program for the 2025-26 academic year. A 25% reduction in football official visits during 2025-26, and a 14-week probation on recruiting communications in the football program during the probation period. So, to preface, what exactly happened? Nothing.
Oh,
pretty much nothing happened.
I agree.
Yeah, basically. Or to sum it with the next exclusive description, the NCAA trying to beat a dead horse.
Yeah. And I don't know if I mentioned this to Alec before we went on, but one thing I said, this is a far cry from how bad it was when the Astros had their sign stealing scandal. At least the Astros, when they had their sign stealing scandal, people lost their jobs for that.
At least.
Yeah. People lost their jobs for that. But no players were suspended. But anyway, just a bunch of money is lost. But that's not really going to do anything.
You give me 2 minutes, and that will be my fresh Friday fine, because I'm pissed about the whole thing. I'm pissed. They didn't vacate They didn't vacate their national championship.
No,
they didn't. They don't get penalized for any future playoff potential. They're not banned from being in the playoffs. No, none of the trophies and awards that the players got are vacated. It goes back to the Heisman getting taken away from USC and them having to vacate their titles.
Reggie Bush.
I mean,
that's right.
and then to add insult to injury, I spent 5 minutes listening to El Presidente talking about how $20 million, we can handle that. I'm like, shut up, dude. I'm not watching College Noon on Fox because he's going to be on it.
Alec is chuckling very small because I know he's not a fan of El Presidente.
Oh my gosh. Elise used to said the Astros had people lose their jobs for this scandal. What the NCAA, they're just beating a dead horse for the sake of beating a dead horse. Because what is this? The third time that Michigan got punished for the scandal?
Yeah.
You're just beating a dead horse at this point. Why do you need to go after Michigan once again if you already got the punishment the first time around? Why do you feel the need to do this? Just to prove a point?
Yeah, go ahead. Keep going.
Just to prove a point? And to hit him with all those fines? Look, I get it for all those fines. But at the same time, no vacation of any championships. But I'm thankful that none of the players are suspended because the players were not behind any of the science dealings, mostly Stallions. But then again, no postseason ban.
Yeah. It just doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense to me because, coaches need to be held accountable for their actions. And the fact that, they're beating around the bush here, they're basically not. There's no major penalties, and they can't really go after Jim Harbaugh now because Jim Harbaugh is no longer with Michigan.
Yeah, he's with the Chargers.
Yeah, exactly. So it's what more can you possibly do? I think that's exactly why Jim Harbaugh got out of there. If Jim Harbaugh was still at Michigan, he probably would have been suspended from the NCAA for a long time.
Yeah, I don't think he wanted to go back to the pros, but he saw the writing on the wall, and he's like, "This is my ticket out."
Right. Exactly. That is exactly what happened. Yeah. That is exactly what happened. He saw a way out and he took it.
Just exchange Wolverine's claws for Thor's hammer.
Yeah. Exactly.
Hey, Kev, who's number 89? Who's the tight end 89 for the Giants?
I think that's Fedoni, the guy that they got in the 5th round.
Okay, he just scored a touchdown.
Hey,
there
look
we
at
go.
that. Giants
it's either Fedoni, Bellinger, or Johnson. It's one of those three.
Interesting. So, Kevin, I want to get your thoughts on this whole punishment, or quote unquote punishment, if you will, because I'm very, very, very upset about this. Michigan didn't they lost money. What's that going to do? It's just a slap. If that, I honestly, you could slap. It was a slap on yours with your pinky. That's really what it was. It was really nothing major. But Michigan got out unscathed mostly. Losing money for your athletic program, that's not a big deal because Michigan is still one of the most highly touted universities in the country. They can make that money back easily. So, obviously, this is a joke.
Right.
And the NCAA, I think, needs to really man up about the suspensions, wouldn't you say?
Yeah, absolutely. It's exactly how you guys said it. But slap on the wrist, if that, and basically money was the biggest loss. Nobody was really held accountable for it, and I think it's because of how big the University of Michigan is, and how the NCAA doesn't want to jeopardize anything or lose the ratings of when that football team plays, stuff like that, which I think is complete nonsense. I think if you're not going to enforce a punishment. How are you going to enforce punishments if you're not going to treat every single college the same? Why are you making it so where the highest viewed colleges are it's basically a slap on the wrist and it's basically no punishment for the middle? I don't like that. I don't like when the league is catering to higher colleges or higher players or stuff like that. I don't like that. I think that's complete lunacy. I think every college should be held to the same standard, and I think Michigan is no different. Now, I'm just as pissed as John is because, again, there's really no good punishment except for that 10% budget cut, I think, is the big blow to them. But even if that, they're going to make it all back anyway. So I really don't see the need for this.
Yeah, it was very, very pointless.
I mean, Akron got punished worse for academic grades than what Michigan did for this scandal.
Yeah, it was very, very light, and very weak punishment.
Yeah,
and it kind of pisses us all off because no accountability, none, and that's the biggest. That's
no
the
accountability. Where have I heard that before?
No accountability.
For the time and time again.
The truth of the matter is Connor Stallion, who's a high school football coach right now, could come back in 9 years and be the coach of Michigan or another smaller school. I mean, there's no punishment here for any of these individuals.
None whatsoever.
That's true. Mm-hmm.
Terrible. Now I want to get into the fact that I want to get into Texas Tech of it all. So Texas Tech recruited edge rusher LaDainian Guyton for their 2027 class. He committed to Texas Tech, but there's a bigger story behind that. And for that story, I want to turn to John because John was the one who saw the story from a mile away. John, take it away.
Well, I wanted to dig into this Texas Tech story a little and kind of throw some numbers at you guys for your reaction.
Sure.
Before we talk about the number that Texas Tech is getting, I wanted to talk about Texas. The Longhorns are supposed to be the number one team in 2025. And their roster is right around $45 million that they're spending. Compared to last year, Ohio State winning the national championship, their roster was, where did I write it down? $25 million. So compare that to Texas Tech, who just spent $55 million on their 2025-2026 roster is insane to me.
Jeez.
Wow.
Now it breaks down into a revenue share of $20.5 million. Most of that coming from some alumni who basically have oil money.
Right.
And then $35 million is all NIL deals for players. But I think that's the biggest roster for NIL money that we've seen so far. And that number is probably only going to go up. I think I talked about Kansas, how much money Kansas is getting.
Yeah, you mentioned
for their entire athletic program. So it'll be really interesting to see how much money that divvies out to their football team. So this is something to keep an eye on. It's something that I'm looking into because it really is going to affect recruiting. Like you opened with, and a lot of the 4-star, 5-star recruits are going to be going to where the money is, and that changes the entire dynamic of how college football is played.
Yeah, absolutely. Like the finance of the game. And one thing I wanted to do, I remember when we used to be under a different name, we had a very smart kid named Jake Hogg on our show, and he wanted to talk about NIL.
Oh, yeah.
I think this is a great time to have him on. We'll probably have him on next week. I'll probably reach out to Jake. Maybe after we have our fantasy draft in a couple weeks, we'll probably have him on. But this is a discussion that I think John brought up is very interesting, and I think for the future could be a game changer. 100% a game changer. Now, before we head into our sponsor, DAS Technology Consulting, I want to get into the NBA because we did last week get the schedule release for the NBA, and there are some really juicy matchups coming forward. I want to come to Alec here. What are your 3 most enticing matchups and dates for the NBA schedule release?
So to get the first one, this is going to be a very juicy one because it's on opening night, and it's the very first game of this new season when the Thunder raised their championship banner and Kevin Durant is playing against the Thunder on the Houston Rockets. That's going to be the very first game, October 21st, 7:30 Eastern, when the Thunder host the Rockets on banner night. So that's my number one. The number two, I look at one of the NBA Cup games or NBA in-season tournament. Luka versus Flag. It's the Lakers hosting the Mavericks in West Group B, 10 o'clock p.m. Eastern on November 28th for this stage of the NBA Cup. This late onto this tournament. And on the Christmas games, I always love a LeBron versus KD matchup.
Yeah.
When the Rockets and the Lakers play one another, Lakers hosting one more time, 8 p.m. Eastern on Christmas Day. Those are my three most enticing matchups for this upcoming NBA season. They have all of the key games and matchups listed down, but those are my three most enticing matchups.
Now, what's funny is that LeBron seems to always get a Christmas Day game. And LeBron seems to always play well on Christmas. And it's funny because LeBron's birthday is literally 5 days after Christmas. So it's probably like the gift that keeps on giving for him. He plays well on Christmas Day. His birthday's 5 days later. And correct me if I'm wrong, the guy's going to be 42 this year?
I was
41? 41? I think 41.
41, I think,
yeah.
41. My God.
So he has spent over half his life in the NBA.
That's crazy. Half your life playing a sport. Wow.
Yeah, this is year 23 in the NBA, and he's not. And while we wonder when he's going to retire here, he's just still going strong in year 23.
He just keeps going, and you know what? Good for him. He's found the fountain of youth.
Don't take him for granted.
No. Kevin, what are your three most enticing matchups this season?
Well, I mean, forget three. Like, I'm looking at the Knicks schedule right now because obviously I'm a Knicks fan, so I looked at the schedule. They have a seven game stretch between February 4th through the 21st, where that's probably the toughest stretch they're going to have all season long. Just to go down the list, February 4th, they host the Nuggets. Game after that, at Detroit. Game after that, at Boston. Game after that, you host the Pacers. Game after that, at Philadelphia. Game after that, you go back to host Detroit. And on the 21st, you host the Rockets. That's a 7-game stretch where that's going to be must-watch basketball because with the Knicks this season, with the injuries to Jason Tatum and to Tyrese Halliburton, you expect the Knicks to be pretty high when it comes to representing the Eastern Conference, along with the likes of maybe Detroit and maybe Orlando in that sense, even Cleveland. But that 7-game stretch definitely caught my eye whenever the schedule first started releasing. So that's going to be really nice to watch.
Okay. I like that. John, what about you?
So I had to go late into the season for the juiciest games that I found. February 1st, you have Nuggets at Oklahoma Thunder. That's going to be a really, really good game. And then on March 3rd, you have Cooper Flag and the Mavs at Carolina and the Con-Cannibal Hornets. So you got a Duke game there. Really, really interesting to see in North Carolina. So I'm kind of looking forward to that game. The very last day of the season with the West Coast Conference heating up and coming down the wire, you have the Warriors at the Clippers. And I'm really looking forward to that at the end of the year.
Nice. Those are
versus Harden.
Those are really juicy. Those are really, really juicy. All right, so some of my matches I'm looking forward to. I'm going to start off with October 22nd. The San Antonio Spurs visit the Dallas Mavericks. It's a battle of two Texas teams, but most importantly, it's the number 1 overall pick, Cooper Flag, versing off against the number 2 overall pick, Dylan Harper of Rutgers. Go RU. So that's always an enticing matchup to see these two young studs go at it. I also like the Knicks taking on the Cavaliers on Christmas Day. That's always juicy. The Knicks seem to always get a Christmas Day game at the Garden. And for me, that game's enticing because these are probably going to be the two teams in the Eastern Conference that are going to stand out because the Pacers are not going to have Tyrese Halliburton and the Celtics are not going to have Jason Tatum. So these two teams are going to be going tooth and nail all season long in the East to see who's going to come out of that conference. Christmas Day, I think, is going to be a good tone setter for these two teams. And then last but not least, I like the Oklahoma City Thunder versus the Cleveland Cavaliers on January 19th. Two very talented teams, which is also the birthday of a good friend of mine who's a diehard Knicks fan. The Thunder are really good. I want to see Donovan Mitchell try to do well in the playoffs at some point. He's just kind of there right now, and I feel like against the Thunder, that's always a good test. So those are my 3 games.
Excellent list.
It's a very, very solid list of games there. Now, we're coming towards the bottom of the hour, but before we get that, I want to get into a very brief news breaker. Tom Dundon, who owns the Carolina Hurricanes, has bought the Portland Trail Blazers for a whopping $4 billion. Now, for those of you who don't know, the Portland Trail Blazers were owned by the late Paul Allen, who 1, owned the Seahawks, and 2, was the founder of Microsoft. So
co-founder
Bill Gates. Yeah, with Bill Gates. That's right, Bill Gates. So $4 billion, that's a lot of money for an organization that really has no sense of direction as far as championships are concerned. But like I said, Tom Dundon does own the Hurricanes. So, Alec, when you see this purchase come up, what's your initial thought?
So Dundon has a reputation for keeping the teams at their respective locations. So what I anticipate is that there's going to be a commitment to keeping the Trailblazers in Portland. So they're going to stay put. The dedication also has come with the building on this young core instead of trading away draft capital for aging star players by gutting the team's future. That was the mistake that Matt Ishbia and the Suns front office did. The Trailblazers, they had glimpses of winning basketball from players like Shaedon Sharpe, Toumani Camara, Denny Avdia, and Donovan Clingan. And the fan base here is passionate in Portland. They love their sports teams. And I'm certain that Dundon is going to commit to keeping the Trailblazers in Portland, just like he did with keeping the Hurricanes in Raleigh. If you pay attention to the Hurricanes, they went from bottom 3 in attendance rate when he bought the team to being a perennially top 10 in attendance rate, and they're still carrying a consecutive sellout streak of 117 games and counting. So, and the Hurricanes, they were built from the ground up. Dundon's committed to building this team from the ground up, from what the path is going to be. So I would anticipate that happening. And if all signs point to the direction, Dundon lets the front office cook. He's not a meddlesome owner. So just like he did with Don Waddell and Eric Tolsky, Joe Cronin's going to do most of the cooking in the front office, what the direction's going to be. So I like this purchase.
It's a good purchase, I'll admit. And I think that's one of the reasons why Damian Lillard wanted to go back to Portland, because he knew there was going to be some type of an ownership change. Now, as far as like the Blazers and their competitive aspect, I don't know if this team's going to be great, but if they're going to build up more grassroots support, more organic, authentic support from fans, I think that's always going to be a good thing. And like you said, Tom Dundon has a good reputation to raise the bar of attendance for his teams. Now, as far as the Seahawks go, we don't know what's going to happen with them yet as far as who's going to buy them, but we'll have to see in the future. Now, we're coming towards the bottom of the hour, so you know what that means. It's time to give a shout out to our sponsor, DAS Technology Consulting, a company that specializes in your IT infrastructure needs. If you want to know about DAS Technology Consulting and what their mission is about and what they can do for your IT infrastructure business, here's a look.
Our approach at DAS Technology is simple. At DAS Technology, we offer a very unique approach by providing our clients a single point of contact for all their mission-critical data center demands. DAS Technology Consulting is a global leader in data center services, specializing in delivering cutting-edge, best-of-breed enterprise solutions. With a focus on innovation and reliability, DAS provides worldwide storage, server, and networking solutions that are tailored to meet the evolving demands of the modern data-driven world.
And DAS Technology Consulting continues to cook. Darren Sirianni, God bless you and your contributions. Now, we have another sponsor in the works, or a potential partnership in the works. We will get to that more when that time comes, but it is our number 2, ladies and gentlemen, of Foursquare Sports. We've made it halfway at this point. You are awesome, and we appreciate you watching this far. Matt Sirianni, Alec Nava, Kevin Zelskovic, John Welch. And we have a lot to get to in hour number 2. We're going to start off with relaying what's going to happen. So we have some tennis news, featuring Venus Williams, as well as the ATP and WTA top 8 at this point in the year. We're going to go into more NFL as far as the latest news. We're going to go into NFL trivia. And then Kevin has Fresh Bonner Fried this week. So I can only imagine what's on his mind because Kevin is very creative when it comes to his rants. And it's always going to be fun. So anyway, let's get into our number 2. And we're going to start off with tennis. And this is where Kevin and I earn our money. So Venus Williams got a wild card selection into the 2025 U.S. Open. Now, this is big because this is, number one, Venus Williams' first Grand Slam appearance in 2 years. We have not seen Venus Williams perform at a Grand Slam since the 2023 U.S. Open, I believe. And the U.S. Open, Venus Williams is a 2-time Grand Slam champion at the U.S. Open. She's 45 years old. She's the oldest competitor in the U.S. Open draw since 1981 when said person was 47 years old. I can't remember the name off the top of my head, but still pretty significant. 1981, Venus Williams was probably a baby or an infant. She wasn't even a year old. So pretty amazing. Kevin, what do you make of this?
I mean, good for Venus Williams for like continuing to play at the age that she's doing. I mean, we saw Tom Brady play till he was 43, 44, 45. And like to see Venus Williams now do that, like now going back to the U.S. Open for the first time in a couple of years. Good on her. I mean, like I don't expect her to go far in the tournament. We'll see how she does in her first round match. But like, good on her for like continuing to be active and still performing at the highest level of tennis, still at a nice age.
I mean, listen, it's going to be a nice way to get some folks to come in to watch the U.S. Open in Flushing, Queens. Like you said, Venus Williams. I've watched some of her matches ever since she came back. She won a match against, I think it was Peyton Stearns or Sophia Kenin not too long ago. I think it was at the DC Open. And she looked pretty good. But again, I don't know how far she's going to go. She's not going to be as dominant as she was back in the early 2000s. But I think she can maybe pull off a first-round win, if that. I think the goal for her, win round 1. Because at 45 years old, goddamn, if I was 45 years old, I wouldn't even touch a racket if I was 45 years old. God bless Venus Williams. And then the second part of tennis that I want to get into, and this is actually kind of cool. We haven't talked about the ATP finals that are coming up soon. So for those of you who don't know, the ATP finals and the WTA finals are when the top 8 by points compete for the ultimate title of ATP champion. And the ATP champion wins a big salary bonus, and it's made up of the people who finish in the top 8 in points at the end of the year. Now, I'm going to go with the men first, and then I'm going to go to the ladies. So this is as of August 16th, which is today. Today is Saturday, August 16th, 2025. The top 8 as of now are Carlos Alcaraz, Jannik Sinner, Alexander Zverev, Ben Shelton is 4th, Novak Djokovic, Taylor Fritz, Jack Draper, and Alex de Minaur. Now, the top 8 changes every day, it seems, because one bad tournament could probably give another person an opportunity. Now, to reveal how close it is, Alex de Minaur is the 8th seed right now in the ATP finals. 75 points behind him is Lorenzo Musetti of Italy. So this is what the field looks like right now. And then Casper Ruud is not too far behind either. So you look at this field right now, Kev. Do you think this is going to hold on, or do you think that someone can make a jump?
I mean, you mentioned Lorenzo Musetti. I feel like he can definitely leapfrog de Minaur in the rankings and all that. It's very possible Casper Ruud can go on there, but like he hasn't really shown up too good of results these past 2 Grand Slams. So it could be tougher for him. But Musetti, I see he can definitely slip through the cracks. There might be a couple of other names in there that I'm forgetting that could possibly rise to the rankings. But I think those top 8 most of them are going to be locks for sure.
Now, one name I want to actually get into, and I'm actually amazed I'm actually talking about Ben Shelton being in the top 4 of anything. Ben Shelton won the Canadian Open not too long ago. We talked about Victoria Mboka winning the Canadian Open on the women's side. Ben Shelton, after losing the quarterfinals to Jannik Sinner in the Wimbledon tournament, has been playing lights out. And I don't know where this kid is getting this from. He's 21 years old. He's a firecracker. I don't know. And I think at the U.S. Open, I think fans are going to be rallying around him. What do you think Ben Shelton needs to do to maybe turn some heads at the ATP final and actually stay in his place?
I mean, like you said, I feel like he has to continue doing what he's always doing best and be like a power hitter, especially with his forehand. His serve is one of the best serves on tour.
Yes.
And I think that the big thing that really he needs to try to get over the hump is to beat players that we know that are, better than him. We need to see upsets consistently from Ben Shelton. I mean, we've seen a few times he's versed Djokovic, he's versed Alcaraz, he's versed other guys at the top of the rankings. I mean, but his only problem is he can't beat those top guys. And if he can consistently start to gain ground on those guys, then I think you can see Ben Shelton really make a case to be one of the best American tennis players. I mean, as soon as Djokovic retires. I mean, you look at Ben Shelton, you look at Francis Tiafoe, Tommy Paul, even like I'm surprised that Tommy Paul, he's not even in the top 8 rankings like you mentioned. So it would be interesting to see what Ben Shelton does in the ATP finals. Again, since this is like a different tournament, I do expect him to play a little bit better as opposed to a Grand Slam where I feel like he can't really get over the hump. I would anticipate Ben Shelton to go to at least the quarterfinals here.
I mean, Ben Shelton has been awesome, to say the least, this calendar season. Like, he made the semifinals in the Australian Open. He did well at Wimbledon. He could have done a little bit better, but still, he's taking what comes and he's actually improving year by year.
Right.
I'll never forget 2022 or 2023 when he made the semifinals against Djokovic. And on the way there, he pulled off a couple of upsets. He got his new taunt, which is the cell phone taunt, which Djokovic ended with a whole
drop the call. Yep.
Drop the call. But I think that inspired a rise in this young man. I mean, like I said, he's wise beyond his years. His serve, like you mentioned, it's a power serve.
Yeah, it's one of the fastest on tour. Definitely.
It's unbelievable. Like they're tracking his serve to see how fast it goes.
Oh yeah.
Like he's something else at a young age, which is awesome. The Taylor, like the fact that he's actually doing better than Taylor Fritz right now is actually
Taylor Fritz. I forgot to mention him too. Yeah.
Yeah, Fritz did well in Wimbledon, although he let that one slip away at Wimbledon against Alcaraz. But
yeah, he was so close. It's like the same thing with Shelton, like Fritz included. Any American man, honestly, they're right there, but they cannot get past the hump, which is beating those top guys. That's what it's going to boil down to. Can those guys beat Alcaraz, Sinner, Djokovic, Zverev? Can they beat all those guys? It remains to be seen.
Big question. Now for the ladies. 1 to 8. Aryna Sabalenka is number 1 in the rankings, followed by Iga Swiatek. Coco Gauff is 3rd. Madison Keys is 4th. Both those two have won Grand Slams. Mira Andreeva is 5. Amanda Anisimova is 6. Amazing. Elena Rybakina is 7, and then Jessica Pegula is 8. Only less than 200 points ahead of Jasmine Paolini, who's just outside the top 8, and then Alina Svitolina is not that far behind as well. So that's your top 10. But if you were to tell me 4 of the 8 women in this draw as of now are Americans, I would say you're absolutely crazy. But to think of it, Gauff, Keys, Amanda Anisimova is the biggest shocker.
Oh,
and then Pegula, like, what do you think of that? I mean, that's incredible.
Yeah, that's shocking that Anisimova is ranked higher than Pegula, because Pegula, I feel like, has been the more consistent player than Anisimova. And you didn't even mention that, like, I'm surprised Elena Rybakina isn't even top 8, because she's been playing consistent as well. Andreeva, I think I kind of expected that. Svitolina is a big surprise to me as well, but she's been playing really good as of late. But yeah, Anisimova, I mean, what a story she had, like this past Wimbledon. Obviously, in the final, she got absolutely crushed.
Yeah.
But to see the way that she was able to beat Sabalenka, and like Sabalenka, like you've got to be like kidding yourself if you're Sabalenka, so frustrated to lose 3 Grand Slams final opportunities, all against American women, 3 different kinds. That is crazy to me. If she doesn't beat an American, like, to go deep in the U.S. Open, like, you can't even make this up.
The fact that Amanda Anisimova is in here is actually kind of remarkable, because she's done well this calendar year. Mm-hmm. But I think Wimbledon just kind of turned some heads. especially after the story. She took 8 months off to gain her love for tennis back, and then she had that remarkable match with Sabalenka, and now here she is.
Yeah,
Crazy.
It's actually crazy. It really is.
Remarkable. Now, I think the reason why Pegula is outside the top 8 is because Paolini and Svitolina have had some bad losses, although Jessica Pegula has been very, very bad, to say the least. Mm-hmm. And apparently Ben Rice just hit a bases-clearing double. Oh, my God.
Mm-hmm. Almost a grand slam. It was just short of the wall.
Oh.
That would have been a pleasing sight.
Eat that,
and the Tigers have tied over sack fly.
Ooh, oh, my God.
And Jameis Winston just threw a 40-yard pass.
Giants and Yankees both winning. I'm feeling pretty good now.
Oh. And also, I didn't mention this earlier, but Tyler Reddick fans, I'm sorry. He crashed earlier in the Richmond race. But he's still going, though.
Oof. That's
good. That's good. The Guardians are getting their butts kicked 10-1 over the Braves. Yay!
Good.
Love it. Love it. I'm losing my voice cheering. Look at me. All right, but now I want to get into the NFL because there's a bunch of storylines coming out of this. I want to get into some preseason scores, but I want to get into this big storyline. So the Browns played the Eagles today. They won 22-13, but there was one person who didn't play, and that was Shedeur Sanders.
Right.
And Shedeur Sanders had built a lot of momentum. He threw multiple touchdown passes in that game last week until he hurt his oblique, which kept him out of practice most of this week. He did not play in this preseason game against the Eagles. And unfortunately, his chance of getting the starting job is now in jeopardy because of that. Because if you're a 5th-round draft pick looking to get a roster spot, that hurts you if you can't stay healthy.
Right.
Now, when teams are trying to trim down to a 53-man roster, they can cut undrafted free agents or low-round draft picks. They're not going to cut 1st or 2nd-round draft picks. But Shedeur Sanders is playing really well, and it's such a shame that this had to happen to him. John, do you think that maybe Shedeur can turn things around with one more preseason game to go?
It'll be really interesting to tell. I have not bought into the hype. I was standing there laughing, watching his draft stock fall to the 5th round. And, I watched Dylan Gabriel, and except for that one interception, he was very smooth. He was very mature. He led a touchdown drive, his first drive. And I think the surprise today was how hard-nosed the Cleveland defense is. I'm going to be watching the Cleveland defense from now on. But I think Shedeur has his work cut out for him. I've always been a skeptic. I don't think he deserved to have his number retired and his name hung in the Ring of Honor in Colorado.
Right.
And that for me, this might be the shortest trip that Shedeur will make into the NFL before he goes to be an assistant coach with his dad.
Wow.
Really?
That's pretty harsh.
I watched him against the Panthers ones on defense, and he struggled. The only reason he scored that touchdown was on the muff by rookie Etienne on the kickoff, where he got bumped by his own player, and the ball went back to the Browns. So he struggles. He struggles against defenses. He turns his back to his offensive line, which is the first thing you don't do, and especially in the pros. There's a lot of mechanics that he hasn't learned on the pro level.
And I think one thing that I also mentioned, the maturity is also in question sometimes with Shedeur. I'll never forget the game against Kansas where he shoved an official down. And I think maturity is kind of a big thing that you got to look at with Shedeur. But he's still trying to fight for a roster spot. Even if he doesn't get the starting job, he's still one of the most highly anticipated stories coming out of Cleveland. I mean, the Cleveland Browns have like 4 or 5 quarterbacks in. The big one has happened on that 199 heavy damage to, and that's what that Alex just mentioned the story about.
I mentioned about it. Yeah, the big one, it's involved at least 8 cars. The heaviest damage to Chase Elliott and Justin Haley.
Wow. Hope everything's okay there.
Yeah. Hopefully those guys in Richmond are doing all right.
Mm-hmm.
Uh-huh. Yeah.
Because this is the penultimate race of the regular season.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. Now, I want to get to Kevin here on this next one. So, Jackson Dart, in his first preseason game, played very, very well. And there was even some consideration. I don't know if you heard this story. There was a story out there, I think it was by like The Athletic or something like that, where the Giants are looking to maybe change their mind about starting Jackson Dart on opening day instead of Russell Wilson. Jackson Dart's even playing well right now. He threw 14 for 16 for two touchdowns or one touchdown. One, two. Wow, that's unbelievable. So Jackson Dart continues to play well, and I see the poise in the pocket. He throws the ball beautifully well, and I think that's just amazing that this young man out of Ole Miss can do this kind of thing. But one thing I wanted to ask you, Kev. So with Dart playing this well, do you reverse course and start him over Russell Wilson on opening day? Yes or no?
No, I wouldn't change course. I think this is actually a good thing for Dart and that he's getting this attention and people are starting to say, "Oh, start Dart week 1." That's a good thing. If you're expecting that from like your quarterback to be in the future. But no, I wouldn't rush him. I wouldn't this is preseason, keep in mind. But throughout the first 2 games and still the second one, the fourth quarter is about to start. He's looked absolutely great, and he has been as advertised. I wouldn't start him over Russell Wilson for the regular season. Again, like Russell Wilson is here to be like the kind of bridge quarterback for this season. If they're out of, like I said this last episode, if the Giants are not in a playoff contention over the last few games, then I think that's when you should put Jackson Dart in. But so far, preseason, he's looked great.
Now, the reason why I bring up this speculation about starting Jackson Dart week 1 is because I want to come to John on this one, because John might know this story. Back in 2012, remember when Matt Flynn was supposed to be your starting quarterback in 2012?
Vividly.
So Matt Flynn signed a 3-year contract with the Seahawks, but it was also the year where the Seahawks drafted this kid from Wisconsin named Russell Wilson. Russell Wilson had a phenomenal preseason. He won the starting job over Matt Flynn, and then Matt Flynn was released. So the reason why I bring this up is because even though people minimize the importance of the preseason, which is okay, I understand that, you also got to realize that it can influence your decision to see how your rookie quarterback plays against the defense. And while you're playing against second string, third string guys, it can still be a very important thing in your mind as far as building a future and setting the tone for a culture. So my question to you, John, is if this happened with Russell Wilson back in 2012, do you think that Russell Wilson might be on the receiving end of this 13 years later?
I think it's too early to tell. Matt Flynn came from Green Bay, and the Seahawks were basically, the 3-year career or that 3-year contract saying that Flynn would be our number 1. They took a flyer drafting a baseball player out of Wisconsin who ended up being an amazing quarterback. One of the saving graces for Russ, one of the reasons he was able to cook, was Seattle had the Legion of Boom. And that's what got them through those first 3 years. That's what got them to the Super Bowl was that defense, that secondary.
Right.
And I think the Giants have a very strong defense, but I don't think Dart is Russell Wilson caliber enough to start day 1.
So
right.
I understand where you're going with this, but you know how they say you ride with a hot hand? That's what I'm referring to. Now, I know Russell Wilson hasn't gotten a lot of reps this preseason, which is kind of like a deterring factor as to why these rumors are coming up and starting Jackson Dart. I mean, listen, Dart has played really well this preseason. I'm not gonna minimize his accomplishments this preseason. I'm not gonna minimize his play, but when you see your rookie quarterback playing this well, it's obviously a positive sign to see. And Alec, I want to come to you next. So the Pittsburgh Steelers right now, I'm looking at their game against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. They're tied at 14, but as far as what Pittsburgh has done so far this preseason, what are the good things that you've seen and what are some of the bad things that you've seen?
Some of the good things that I've seen is the establishment of defense defense has been the main talking point for the Steelers because that's been the identity of this team. I have also saw that Brandon Johnson and Trey Sermon are fighting for roster spots. I don't know if they're going to make the final roster. I can see them making it to the practice squad. Sermon, who was formerly a standout at Ohio State, I thought that he was going to get the RB1 job at San Francisco with the 49ers at one point before the emergence of Elijah Mitchell. Sermon, that was when Raheem Mostert went down at that time. And I thought, this is when you see Sermon and being a higher draft pick than Mitchell, you would think that he would be primed to getting RB1 reps once Mostert went down. But now he's a journeyman. I feel for Sermon, it's an opportunity for him to be gunning for a roster spot, whether it be with us or elsewhere, because the running back room is mostly set between Jaylen Warren, Caleb Johnson, and you could say Kenneth Gainwell, if you want to emphasize the return game, have a third running back on the room. If we decide to go 4 running backs, Sermon could push for that 4th spot, but who would have to be sacrificed to make room for Sermon? Right now, it's smooth sailing. In the previous game against the Jacksonville Jaguars, Darnell Washington looks solid. Sermon's looking good as well, and Keyshawn Williams getting some depth at playing time with Skylar Thompson, so that's to solidify some practice squad spots. So Thompson is trying to make a push for one of those spots, but this is merely for depth purposes because the main guys, we know who we're anticipating them to be. We may be waiting for Will Howard's hand to heal up because Thompson he's basically a practice squad player right now. We're waiting on Howard and his recovery from his hand injury. If he can get more time to get acclimated to the Steelers, and if Aaron Rodgers can help mentor Howard in the future, if he were to be part of the plans.
Interesting. It's all interesting. I think that the Pittsburgh Steelers are kind of looking and seeing what they have for the future, it seems like, because Will Howard getting banged up right now. You know, obviously Aaron Rodgers is going to be the starter this year, no question about it, because this is going to be his last year before he retires. I think Will Howard, if you saw what he was able to do at Ohio State, he could probably enhance his skills at the NFL level, especially with the proper coaching, which I think Mike Tomlin can bring.
So, side note, the early predictions of next year's draft have the Cleveland Browns taking the number 1 pick and picking Nussmeier, taking a quarterback.
Oh my God!
And that's it. And I believe it's if Arch Manning stays in Texas, right?
Oh yeah, I truly believe Arch will stay in Texas one more year.
Yeah, so do I.
Yeah, I agree. So now I'm going to come over to a story that I think should be very concerning for Dolphin fans. So the Miami Dolphins won their preseason game against the Detroit Lions earlier this week. But according to a report, the joint practices that between the two teams was not really that good. Apparently the Dolphins had a very bad joint practice. QB play was very sloppy, and apparently the Lions looked so much better competently offensively when they were running their drills. Tua apparently got sacked once or twice during the drills, and the same with Zach Wilson. So that's not a really good sign to see for Dolphin fans. I know the Dolphins are a team that's trying to break out, but they haven't quite done that. Part of the reason is because Tua Tagovailoa just seems to be getting hurt every time he snaps the ball. But John, I'm going to come to you first. So while the Dolphins won a preseason game, that's kind of like getting spare change. It's not really much of a competent sign. So when you hear reports that the Dolphins don't look good during a joint practice with the Lions, what does that tell you?
I had the Dolphins last in their division to start the preseason, but I have never seen an NFL team retrograde more than watching the Miami Dolphins implode in on themselves. Injury after injury, sideline drama. You have, I think, a horrible trade to the Steelers where they gave away Jonnu Smith.
Yeah.
I think the Steelers definitely won that trade. And now you look at A-Chain out for days.
Right.
And that's, I mean, so their only saving grace is Tyreek, who isn't balling out or doing much of anything right now except talking smack. For me, this is the beginning of the end for Mike McDaniel. And I if NFL was like Premier League and you had two teams get regulated, the Dolphins would definitely be regulated at the end of the year to a lower class tier.
Wow, such a shame to see. I agree with you. One thing, I think Mike McDaniel is under a big magnifying glass this year. If the Dolphins do not make the playoffs or do anything significant, I think he's gone.
If he goes, Chris Grier also goes too.
I agree 100%, because this regime has been around for a few years now, and think of it. This organization fired Brian Flores for this.
Oh my God. I mean, you got Tua, Tyreek, and Jalen Waddle, and you sell yourselves on becoming a perennially mid team. It's all going to end up in the same way that Chase Elliott's night tonight ended up crashing headfirst onto the wall.
Exactly. But and we haven't even discussed what happened with Brian Flores. He's taking his lawsuit from the Dolphins into court.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
We haven't discussed that yet. That's a story. That's a story for a different day. We can probably talk about that right now, if albeit very briefly. So, obviously, for those of you who are aware, Brian Flores was fired by the Dolphins in 2021 after a winning season. He's taking his firing into court because supposedly there were rumors going on that his firing over the Dolphins in the way that Stephen Ross, the Dolphins owner, treated him was very poor and very, not well-mannered whatsoever. And while Flores has struggled to get a head coaching job, and I think he's the defensive coordinator for the Vikings, if I'm correct.
Yeah, he's still the defensive coordinator of the Vikings.
Yeah, but this is a man who should be a head coach right now. And I think a lot of people in Miami and in the NFL in particular are very upset at the way he was treated by Stephen Ross and Bronco ownership, because apparently there was a story about John Elway treating him poorly as well. So that's probably a story that we can get into a little bit. I'm going to come to Alec on this one. So when you see, you probably remember what happened when Stephen Ross fired Brian Flores. A lot of people across the NFL were shocked. But now that this has gotten into a legal procedure here, what do you think is going to happen when this comes into court? And do you think Brian Flores will ever get a head coaching job ever again?
I said at the time that if the Dolphins fire Brian Flores, is that the Dolphins will regret firing Flores. Now, I know offense has been better with Mike McDaniel. Still, with all of it coming apart at the time and that McDaniel was here, I mean, you had a brief high, but now it's all coming downwards. It's all crumbling apart. And I don't take back my words. The Dolphins are feeling this because there was a sense of a culture, an established culture under Flores. You felt like you have a playoff team in with Flores, yet he was getting treated like crap over there with what the lawsuits were.
Yeah.
Not to mention that you already had a solid team. Getting Tyreek Hill would be the cherry on top. But still, I feel that this team under Brian Flores would have been much better off under Flores than it is under McDaniel. Flores, I don't know if the results are true, but from what I've heard, was he getting paid to lose games?
Right.
I can't remember because that was part of what he alleged on the lawsuits. But either way, you don't treat a coach like that. You hire him so that you have the coach help the team to win games, not to lose games. What is Stephen Ross thinking with this one? And I don't blame Brian Flores one bit on taking this to court. And this motion, I wish Flores the absolute best on this, because this is no way to treat a head coach, let alone any coach in the NFL.
Not at all. Not at all. And honestly, when the allegations came out, the way Stephen Ross treated him, and even John Elway, apparently Brian Flores tried to apply for the Broncos job, and he even got mistreatment over there when he was going for the job in Denver. So it's just very, very disheartening to see all of this happen. So John, when you see a lawsuit like this, can Brian Flores win this lawsuit? And if so, how?
I think one of the interesting things that'll come out is is going to be the race card. I think that will be one that gets played. Whether I think it will be relevant. I think you can actually say that Flores was mistreated or misunderstood, and that race was a part of it. So that I think that will probably take a bigger role than it should as far as this case goes. How ownerships deal with coaches and managers, especially the old school, the old boys club, is very protected. The NFL protects these owners in an unfair manner. So I hope that actually will start to go away, and this is one of the first steps for that. I'm also keeping an eye on the lawsuit to reinstate John Gruden into the NFL as a coach too, because that's happening at the same time.
Yeah, that's something that I forgot to mention as well. I remember the day John Gruden was fired by the Raiders, and all the messages between him and Dan Snyder that came out. It was
Bruce Allen.
Yeah, and Bruce Allen as well. That was a bombshell. I'll never forget that.
All of them were guilty, yet the only one that took the fall was John Gruden. When Bruce Allen was as guilty too, and Dan Snyder.
Yeah, very, very shocking to see all of this go down. Right now we're having a little problem with Kevin, but I want to continue this. So there are some other stories that I want to get into with the NFL, and there's one that really stands out to me. It's the fact of the following. It's the fact that James Cook signed a 4-year contract worth $48 million with the Buffalo Bills. This was an extension that the Bills wanted to try and get done. They got it done. And this is probably good for their running back room. John, what would you say?
Oh, it's 100% good for their running back room. They don't really have much of one without James Cook. It's fantasy season. I'm wearing my fantasy gear. I'm going hard into the paint for my high dollar, high end fantasy draft tomorrow. And James Cook is definitely one of the running backs I'll be looking at. I'm glad he got paid. I think he deserves it. If you're not talking about Josh Allen on that team, it's James Cook, as far as I'm concerned. Without Stephon Diggs, he is the next superstar on that team. He got paid. They're going to be in a brand new stadium next year, so I think everything is moving up in the world for the Bills, and James Cook is going to be a part of that.
I like that. I think I agree, because the Bills before James Cook came there was a running back factory. Although I will say, when it comes to the Josh Allen part of it all taken away from James Cook and fantasy, I think that's probably valid, because Josh Allen can do a little bit of everything. I mean, that's the problem. If you're eyeing James Cook in fantasy, proceed with caution. That's how I see it, especially for players like Kevin who are very adamant about observing and scouting everything appropriately. So we'll see how that goes. The next story I want to get into, and this is actually an interesting one. So Philadelphia Eagles backup quarterback Tanner McKee has played very well in preseason, and he even started a regular season game late in the 2024 season against the Giants. There's a possibility that he has sparked trade rumors with a couple of NFL organizations to maybe become a starting quarterback. Now, if you don't know who Tanner McKee is, like I said, young quarterback from Philadelphia, backs up Jalen Hurts for a living, and he's got some good zip on the ball. The guy can throw on a dime, and I think that's one of the amazing things. But so Kevin, when you look at a guy like Tanner McKee and you look at teams that maybe could use a starting quarterback, does McKee fit into an NFL offense as a starter, or do you think he's a good backup?
No, absolutely. I think he could definitely be a starter on a struggling team. I mean, fun fact, my coworker is an Eagles fan, and like we like banter all the time, like about it. And then I asked him, like, you know, are Eagles doing well in preseason? And he's like, Tanner McKee is doing pretty well. He throws for like 200 yards every game when he did in college. And I'm like, I saw him a highlight video and see how he played, and like, looks pretty good. I mean, I think he could definitely fill in with a struggling team as a starter, but I think he's a reliable backup for Jalen Hurts, definitely.
That's an interesting call. I think that when it comes to Tanner McKee, sometimes you want a guy like that who can throw, you want to save him as a gem, just in case something goes wrong. Sometimes if you have your starting quarterback gets hurt, you want a competent backup that can pick up the pieces. And I think that's what Tanner McKee is. Now, if he goes to a team like the Colts or even something like that who are having problems with the QB position, or even the Browns, like the Browns have been rumored to maybe trade for Tanner McKee, even though they got 17 different quarterbacks that they're starting for them.
I mean, Flacco, Pickett, Gabriel, Sanders. I mean, they're trying every different experiment with their quarterbacks, and there's no end in sight over there at the quarterback factory of sadness, is it?
Yeah. It's funny. I don't know if you guys saw, but I don't know if you guys know about this, but the Cleveland Browns returned to the NFL in 1999 after they moved to Baltimore. They've started more QBs since 1999 than any other NFL franchise, which is impressive to say the least.
Out of all those quarterbacks, correct me if I'm wrong, but I saw a stat where I think out of all those quarterbacks in their franchise, I think only 4 of them have had a winning record with Cleveland as a starter.
Yeah, I think you're
right. Joe Flacco's one of them.
Joe Flacco is one of them.
I was at the draft. There was a Browns fan, and he had a jacket, and the jacket had all the starting quarterbacks that Cleveland has had since starting over as a franchise, moving when they moved to Baltimore. All the quarterback names on his jacket, and there was at least 20 names on that jacket.
It's funny. This all culminated with the bad roster construction. It culminated to the 2017 season where they went 0-16.
Where they had Deshaun Kaiser as their quarterback.
Oh, yeah. God.
Oh, my goodness.
Oh, my God. That was bad.
If I'm a Browns fan, I do not want to be reminded of that year.
Oh, that is a year to forget. That is a year to forget.
Oh, the Corey Coleman drop sealed their fate.
That was so disheartening. I remember that game.
I'll never forget that. Well, Alec remembers that because it was against his team. And I remember the Browns put up a fight that game.
Yeah, they did. Yeah. They did not want to go winless. And Juju Smith-Schuster had a kick return for a touchdown that game.
He did. Juju. Oh, my God. It's actually kind of crazy. We're already reflecting on the past. Now, I want to actually go into one last thing before we get into Fresh, Fine, or Fried, and that is trivia time. I love trivia. Now, this is going to be NFL sack-based trivia. Now, for those of you who don't know how this works, I have 9 questions, and every single one there's going to be 8 multiple-choice questions and 1 true-false. So each of these men will get 3 questions each, and we'll see how everyone does. All right, are you all ready?
Mm-hmm.
Let's go.
Okay. Kevin went 3 for 3 this time, so we're going to start with him.
I did, yeah.
All right. So, when did sacks become an official NFL statistic? A, 1980, B, 1981, C, 1982, or D, 1983?
81.
Incorrect. It's 1982. That was the first year that the NFL officially ruled sacks as a statistic. 1982.
Streak is over.
Dude, it's everywhere. 1982 is everywhere when it became an official stat. How do people miss this?
All right. Next up is John. What player holds the most sacks with a single team? A, Michael Strahan, B, Reggie White, C, Bruce Smith, or D, Lawrence Taylor?
Reggie White.
Incorrect. It's actually Bruce Smith. Bruce Smith has 174 career sacks with the Buffalo Bills. 26 of them came with the Commanders, but those were in his waning years. Bruce Smith has more sacks with one team than anyone in NFL history.
Whoa.
He's got 200, I think, right?
Yeah, 200. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, Alec, this next one's for you. Who holds the record for most consecutive games with a sack? A, Chris Jones, B, Dwight Freeney, C, Andre Tippett, or D, Reggie White?
I'm going to go Reggie White.
This answer is going to surprise you. It's actually Chris Jones.
That's surprisingly recent.
Right. Yep. Yeah. Now Chris Jones had 11 consecutive games with a sack. That record was held by said Reggie White beforehand.
And when was the year Jones set this record?
He set this record in 2018. He had a sack from week 5, 2018 to week 16, 2018.
Oh, the final year of Bob Sutton as a DC at KC before Steve Spagnuolo.
That is correct. All right, Kevin, back.
That was Mahomes' rookie season, wasn't it?
His first full season as a starter. Technically, it was. All right, Kevin, back to you. Who held the single season sack record before Michael Strahan? A. Chris Dolman, B. Charles Mann, C. Mark Gastineau, or D. Kevin Green?
I'll go Kevin Green.
You're incorrect. It's actually C. Mark Gastineau. Mark Gastineau had 122 sacks in a single in 1982 or 1983. 1983, Mark Gastineau had 22 sacks on the nose. And unfortunately, it was after that season where Mark Gastineau's production declined. Now, if you don't know who Mark Gastineau is, do you know what team he played for? Anybody?
I don't have a single clue.
Not sure.
The New York Jets. He's part of that New York Sack Exchange.
That's an obscure memory.
I got no idea.
Yeah. All right. Next question is for All right. Next question is for John. Which team had the most sacks in a single season in NFL history? A, the 1984 Chicago Bears, B, the 2022 Philadelphia Eagles, C, the 1989 Vikings, or D, the 2000 Ravens?
Ravens.
It's actually the 1984 Bears. The 1984 Bears had 72 sacks in 1984 and 16 games, which is the most. And Kevin Zelikovic just told me that Ryan McMahon hit his first career home run with the Yankees. Awesome. Okay. Someone get on the board here. We're back to Alec. What team or teams hold the record for most sacks in a single Super Bowl? So this could be more than one answer. A, the 1975 Pittsburgh Steelers, B, the 1985 Bears, C, the 2015 Broncos, or D, the 2021 Rams?
2021 Rams and 2015 Broncos.
So you're partially correct. It's all four. All four of them had 7 sacks in each of their Super Bowls. Yep.
Oh, that was a trick question on my part. So I was expecting 2015 Broncos because that was the Orange Crush, and 2021 Rams because that Bengals O-line was...
Yeah, it was bad. Pretty bad. All right, so far no one's able to get on the board. Okay, Kevin, this is a true-false question. True or false?
Okay.
Reggie White was the youngest person to reach 100 career sacks. True or false?
False.
You're correct. Now, the person who did it actually did it a week before his 29th birthday. It happened this past NFL season, and I will give you a second correct if you know who it is.
Oh, geez. What was the stat again?
Youngest person to reach 100 sacks.
Youngest person to reach 100 sacks.
It happened this past season.
This past season. Is it TJ Watt?
It's Myles Garrett.
Myles Garrett, okay.
Myles Garrett, a week before hitting his 29th birthday, had 102 sacks.
Wow. That's crazy.
Now, Reggie White is the fastest to get to 100 sacks, but not the youngest.
Okay, I got you.
All right. All right, so next question is for John. Which NFL pass rusher has not had multiple 20-sack seasons? A, J.J. Watt, B, T.J. Watt, C, Deacon Jones, or D, Mark Gastineau?
Jones.
You are correct, because you want to know why? They didn't keep track of sacks during that time, so Deacon Jones' stats are kind of construed, but according to people who say apparently Deacon Jones has like a log of how many seasons he had 20 sacks. Supposedly in 1967 he had 26 sacks, then 1968 24, which is actually kind of insane for a pass rusher. But those are not official, so John is correct. All right. Now, next question is for Alec. Final one. What NFL franchise has accumulated the most sacks in league history? A, the Packers. B, the Rams. C, the Bears. D, the Giants. Do 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 do.
All right. It had StreamYard had issues on my end, but so as to answer, I'll give it a guess. The Bears.
It's actually the Los Angeles Rams. The Los Angeles Rams are the only team in NFL history with 3,000 sacks registered. No other franchise has had that many sacks registered across their league, across their franchise history.
Whoa, 3,000.
Wow.
3,000 sacks.
That's crazy.
I know. It's nuts.
This is even considering the Bears having that 1985 defense.
Well, see, here's the thing. The 1985 defense wasn't a sack machine. They hit your quarterback a lot, but they didn't sack you a lot. Well, they sacked you a lot, but they didn't light up the sack numbers. They just killed you. They just pounded you. That's all it was.
Yeah.
Oh, my God. What a time to be alive, 1985, huh? They even have a song for that.
Oh.
All right. So now we're going to get into my favorite part of the whole night. And you know where this is going. Time for fresh, fine, or fried. Now, originally, Kevin, let me see if Kevin's media is doing good. Kevin, how you doing? I think Kevin's media connection is struggling. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to pivot here. Fresh, fine, or fried will now go to Alec. We'll go to Kevin next week. And so, Alec, you will have 2.5 minutes to talk about any take that's on your mind. And we will rate your take on being fresh, fine, or fried. Fresh meaning good, fine meaning horrible, fine meaning okay, fried meaning God, right, awful. Alec, are you ready?
All right, let's do this.
Go.
All right. So this is the second to last week of the NASCAR regular season because the following week it is the final race of the regular season, the Coke Zero Sugar 400 at Daytona in the night. And what I want to say is if NASCAR were to keep the playoff system as is, get rid of win and you're in because that rule guarantees a driver who wins a race at any point of the regular season an automatic spot in the playoffs. And that's a gimmick onto how playoff systems work because you don't, if you win games in any other league, you don't automatically get into the postseason. That should apply here on NASCAR playoff systems. And even in the playoff system too. If you win a race in the playoffs, in a playoff round, it should not guarantee you a spot on the next round. You have to make it in on points in and of itself. That's how every racing system is built to have to last, as was the case during the season-long point standings, like what NASCAR used to do before 2004, when Matt Kenseth was incredibly consistent, clinching a championship despite having only one win, while Ryan Newman, on the other hand, had 8 wins, but had several DNFs, which plagued his standings. And here, if you keep the playoff system, get rid of win and you're in. Because last year, Harrison Burton, who pulled off one of the biggest upsets in NASCAR Cup Series history,
1 minute remaining,
34th in the regular season standings. And he will automatically got himself a playoff spot with a win at Daytona at this point last year by beating Kyle Busch on the last lap. You have to keep a season-long consistent points battle so as to make sure that you get onto the playoffs. It's not fair to those who are trying to get in based on points alone and on the current standings. It's not fair to anyone who's fighting for a playoff spot right now because you have drivers that are currently on the bubble like Chris Buescher and Alex Bowman who would otherwise make it on points alone under the previous formats, they would arguably be fighting for their life. They will be fighting for their lives under this current format of winning you're in. Why does winning you're in have to happen? It doesn't make sense to me. I'm sorry.
Thank you. All right, John, we're gonna come to you first. Fresh, fine, or fried?
I would say fine. I love the take. I think the point system is definitely flawed in the NASCAR current championship cup race, and to win the last game to win the last race and get in to the championship after everybody's worked and earned the points is it really is detrimental to the other players. So I like his take.
Yeah, the drivers.
Yeah, it's an interesting one. Kevin, fresh, fine, or fried?
Yeah, I'll say that's a fresh take. I mean, obviously, I'm not the biggest racing fan, but like I agree, that seems kind of dumb to like. It's not fair to the other drivers to where you like have to win that last race to get. I think it should just be based on points alone. So I do think that's a fresh take.
I'm gonna say it's fresh because this win and you're in thing, it should go based on the points. Like, why do you need to win and you're in, no matter what the points are, to get into to win something? I think it's kind of skewed, and I don't like that. Like, you're putting more pressure to get into the playoffs by winning a race. Meanwhile, like you need to get in the playoffs by points. Like, look at what your body of work has been all season. I think that what Alec is saying is right on the money. I think that we shouldn't put all your chips in on one race to get you into the playoffs.
Yeah, just too much focus on being the idea of being the NBA or NHL instead of being your own sport.
Yeah. I think that's exactly where you were going with this, and I'm all for it. I'm all for the take. All right, so we have several minutes left. So one thing I wanted to say in other news, and this is something I wanted to mention. So we have been talking to a guy named Ryan, and he's part of My Camp Solutions or Octagon Payments. We had a meeting with him on Thursday. He's a very great guy. His business is in Arizona. I want to talk about this because we're working on building the brand up. And for those of you who know us, we're very hard workers. We're very committed to getting ourselves going. So for those of you who know about My Camp Solutions, the guy, Ryan, awesome dude. And Ben Rice just collected 7th RBI of the game. My God, Ben Rice is killing him. So all things aside, we had a really productive meeting with Ryan, and we're looking on starting a partnership with this man. And I think we've reached the point now where we are very determined to make things work. Like, one thing about us is we're very nice people. We are very hardworking people. And we are very competent in talking to people. And one thing that doesn't stand in our way is any foolishness. We're not foolish. For 27, 25, 26, and how old is John?
Old.
Whatever the case may be. If you want to partner with us, we are more than willing to work with you. We are very competent workers. Now, one thing John has also mentioned, and I can't believe I'm actually mentioning this, there is a sandwich shop in New Jersey called Talercio's in Monmouth County. One thing that John has mentioned that when we get to picks based on the spread or spread picks, I might talk to Talercio's about getting them the sponsor, and we might make a 4-square sandwich. But for those of you who want to know what's going on, I mentioned a subscriber exclusive or follower exclusive type of content. I'll explain what it is right now. We are working on a thing called the 4-square 4-leg parlay. Now, what is that? The 4-square 4-leg parlay is when you get a 4-leg parlay. We're still trying to work out whether or not we should do one bet from each of the 4 of us all into one parlay, or if we do a 4-leg parlay from each of us. Probably the second option sounds good, but either way, we want to make it work, and Talercio's could be a sponsor. Now, if you don't follow Talercio's on Instagram, give them a follow because their sandwiches are awesome. The guys are funny as hell. And I know Kevin mentioned a couple of really nice, delicious sandwich places in New Jersey.
Yeah, I mean, the one that I go to, and I don't know if you've been there, it's this place in Edison called the Tasty Sub Shop, or my family calls it a Tasty Subs. So I recommend, too, if you know a good sandwich in Jersey.
All right. John, what's a tasty sandwich shop in Washington or in your area that you know of?
Well, there's one right around the corner, and it's called Westside Kitchen, and they make, I mean, everything out here, unless it's a really fresh salmon or halibut sandwich, is a copy of another sandwich from New Jersey. So we have really good sandwiches here, but most of the sandwich shops here are imitations of what you guys do out there.
I take that as a compliment to New Jersey sandwiches. Alec, anything in North Carolina sandwich-wise?
Well, there is Jersey Mike's, which is one of my favorites in terms of sandwiches.
Oh, it's Jersey Mike's. You can't go wrong with Jersey Mike's. You know, the first Jersey Mike was actually created in Point Pleasant, New Jersey, which is where I'm from. I'm from Point Pleasant. So I'm honored and blessed to be from an area where Jersey Mike's was created. No, I'm serious. Like in Point Pleasant, New Jersey, there's like a Jersey Mike's on every block.
Oh yeah,
I'm sure. Yeah.
We also have this place called La Farm Bakery, which is local, and it is carefully constructed on their sandwiches. They also do breakfast sandwiches too.
Oh,
nice.
All right. Question: do they have bacon, egg, and cheese sandwiches?
Oh, they do. Yes.
Oh.
They've got to have it. Every sandwich breakfast place has got to have bacon and
Bro,
cheese.
This is my hot take of the day. If you're a breakfast shop and you don't have a bacon, egg, and cheese sandwich, you need to add it to your menu ASAP.
That's a staple. That's a staple for any breakfast place.
That should be a staple for every single breakfast place in America.
They have it as part of their deluxe sandwiches, which you eat with your deluxe sandwich. You have an option of your choice of meat: bacon, sausage patty, or ham.
Oh, so good.
That's right. Yep.
So good. Just thinking about a bacon, egg, and cheese sandwich. But anyways, we had that productive meeting with Ryan from MyCamp Solutions. Very nice guy. He's in Arizona right now for the Straight Game podcast, which is hosted by Mike Bibby and a couple other players. Shaquille O'Neal is going to be at this event. We're going to talk to Ryan for future reference in regards to what the next steps moving forward is. But we had this awesome meeting with him. We like what we saw, and Ryan's a really good guy. And I think that we are willing to showcase this guy's business as many times as we can, and hopefully reach some new customers, and hopefully build us up as well. And also follow us on Instagram. Look at our WordPress site for those of you who don't know already. And our Instagram is @4SQ Sports. That's our Instagram @Foursquare Sports. But part of Foursquare Sports is not even just Ryan and MyCamp Solutions and also Octagon Payments. That we'll get into for another time when things are fully done and pen is put to paper. But we got to get into our main sponsor, and that is DAS Technology Consulting. Obviously, IT infrastructure needs, and here are his customers and his clients. Take a look.
Our mission is to deliver high quality, scalable, and secure data center services that ensure seamless operations for clients across various industries, offering best-in-class data center services all under one roof.
Obviously, DAS Technology Consulting, we love what you do for IT infrastructure needs, and we are blessed to have you, and maybe more sponsors along the way. But anyways, from Matt Sirianni, Kevin Zellers, Alec Nava, John Walsh, I'm Matt Sirianni. God bless you all. Take care. Have a good night. And this has been Foursquare Sports, which is sports at score. Take care, everybody.
Hi, everybody. Christopher Mad Dog Russo here. And you know what I do? Foursquare Sports on Sunday nights, 6 to 8, with all those parts of the country taken care of. Listen all the time. You got it. Mad Dog on Mad Dog Unleashed. Listen to my guys. Listen to my guys.